Hello, my name is Stephen Waring, and today I'll be walking through the basic steps to build a computer. There comes a point in many people's lives that require one to build a computer. Whether you are building a new machine from scratch, cleaning internal components, or trying to save yourself from a costly repair bill, it can be beneficial to know how to assemble the basic components. To get started, you will need the following components: a case, motherboard, CPU, heatsink, power supply, memory modules, hard drive, DVD drive, and a video card. It is not necessary to install a video card if your motherboard has one built in. To install the components, you'll need some tools: a Phillips screwdriver, electrostatic wrist strap, thermal paste, and a large open workspace. Locating a big clean workspace is important. The surface must be non-conducting, as you could damage the components if you need to set them down. Today, I'll be working with a Dell Optiplex GX620. Once you've found your workspace, set the case on the surface. Attach the strap of the anti-static wristband to your wrist and the alligator clip to a metal surface of the case. This will ensure that you do not harm the sensitive electronic parts with your small electric charge. The power supply attaches very simply to the case. Locate the wide rectangular hole on the back of the case. Rotate the power supply until the screw holes align, and screw in the mounting screws. To install the motherboard, hold it over the case to line up the screw holes with the risers on the inside of the case. The motherboard should be oriented so that it lines up with the back plate. It should fit snugly and lay evenly over the risers. Now screw down the motherboard. Now that the motherboard is installed, we can insert the CPU. Open the CPU slot by releasing the tension bar and flipping up the cage. Very carefully align the notches on the CPU with the notches on the CPU socket, and then set the CPU down in the socket. To lock the CPU in place, flip down the cage and reset the tension bar by hooking it under the notch of the cage. Before the heatsink can be attached, its mounting bar must be installed. Line up the mounting bar with the uninsulated mounting holes on the motherboard near the CPU socket. Screw the bar down once it's in position. To ensure a good connection between the CPU and the heatsink, apply thermal paste in a small circle on top of the CPU. Very carefully line the heatsink up with its mounting bar. Press the heatsink down onto the processor and fasten the screws. The CPU is useless without memory modules, and installing them is very simple. To insert the module, simply line up the notch on the bottom of the stick with the notch in the slot. Gently set the RAM into the slot, and then push down on each side until you hear a clicking noise. If your case came with mounting rails, now is the time to attach them to the hard drive and DVD drive. My case uses a plastic cage for the hard drive mounting and exposed screws for the DVD-ROM. The plastic cage simply slides onto the hard drive, and the DVD-ROM is prepared by inserting its mounting screws before it is in place. Slide the hard drive into the mounting bay. If your case does not have mounting rails, you will need to screw down the hard drive at this time as well. Slide the DVD-ROM into the mounting bay. If your DVD-ROM did not come with mounting rails, screw it down now. If you need to install a video card, you will now need to find the colored video card slot near the back of the motherboard, and remove the protector from the case that would be blocking your card if one is present. Line up the card with the slot and the card's mounting tab with the slot in the case. Push it in. Now that the major components are installed, we can begin attaching the wiring. The DVD-ROM uses an IDE ribbon cable. Attach the end of the IDE cable labeled Device to the DVD-ROM. Attach the other end to the motherboard port labeled IDE0. Find one of the Molex power cables from the power supply and attach it to the DVD drive. To wire the hard drive, attach the small SATA cable that comes with the drive to the motherboard in the SATA port labeled 0. Attach the other end to the hard drive. Find one of the SATA power cables from the power supply and attach it to the hard drive. Locate the CPU power supply cable, it's the biggest one, and attach it to the power connector on the motherboard. There's only one way that will fit, so if you're having a hard time, try turning the plug the other direction. Make sure to plug the fan into the power connector located near the CPU socket on the motherboard. Finally, attach the case control panel wiring to the motherboard. You may need to consult your motherboard manual for this step. The side of the case can now be attached, and you are ready to install whatever operating system you choose.